You are on the platform. Look, this is slightly unusual, but an acquaintance of mine works for a public relations firm, sent me an analysis yesterday or the day before, and I read it and I thought, gosh, that is interesting. It's about a policy which this government is reversing. And if I had a critique of National at the moment, it would be that much of its early time in office, much of its 49-point plan, and that's a dumb number, it should have been 50 in 100 days, seems to be undoing stuff. Seems to be negative in that it's cancelling stuff or cancelling policies rather than building something new. One of those policies, I'm not sure if it's in the 100-day plan, one of the things, and ACT in particular is keen on this, is the return of the component pseudoephedrine to common cold and flu remedies that you can buy over the counter in chemist shops. The removal of pseudoephedrine from such products in New Zealand, well, it's a funny story. And I was really interested to get yesterday from Mark Blackham of Blackland PR a quite detailed analysis, and it's 20 pages long. I'm almost inclined to publish the whole thing on the platform site because I think it is just an interesting insight into how politics works and how, with the best intentions, we can mess it up. So to discuss what's in this report, rather than make you read all 20 pages, we're joined now by Mark Blackham from Blackland PR. Mark, how are you, mate?
Very good, thanks, Sean.
Look, I found it fascinating. Take us back to when and why pseudoephedrine was taken out of those cold and flu pills that everyone took to get through a day at work.
Well, people are probably not going to remember, and that's part of the problem. I think we need to remember what we muck up as well as what we do well. And it started probably around 2000, but it peaked in 2009. I don't know if your listeners will remember, but Anthony Dixon, the sword attack.
That's the samurai sword guy, right? He was nutting out, wasn't he?
Yes, exactly right, on meth. And there was a photo published of him in court with his eyes wide and looking, unfortunately, mad. And I'll put it down to that. That photo frightened people, or epitomised the meth problem, the meth scourge, and it frightened people. And I think that was in 2009. So that was the trigger, if you like, for a pile-on.
A moral panic, I think, would be the term we'd use. A
moral panic, yes, indeed. And that, when I tracked it back, that you can see how that switched politicians, officials, various medicine, health experts. Under the force of that moral panic, they switched their resistance of the previous 10 years to some of their ideas that were mooted around pseudoephedrine just fell away. And all the evidence that said this policy wouldn't work was ignored.
All right, so the policy was that it was claimed that drug makers, illicit drug makers, were raiding chemist shops, getting lots and lots of codral and stuff, and extracting the pseudoephedrine from it to use in the production of illegal methamphetamine.
Yeah, that's right. It was claimed. I mean, it's theoretically possible. The police were probably one of the main agents in spreading this story without any evidence provided. But even at their best, they were only ever able to claim around 10 to maybe 20% of the of methamphetamine was being created by these pills. So it was only ever 20%. In fact, that was acknowledged in speeches by politicians at the time. But they still went ahead with the expectation that this was going to change the world for us.
So we banned pseudoephedrine in those pills that you could legally buy over the counter. Mm-hmm. Was it promised to stop the so-called meth scourge? Was that the idea of the policy?
Yeah. In fact, I think it was described by John Key at the time as a blow to pea cooks. A blow he was pleased to be delivered.
So we were going to break the Breaking Bad crew.
Breaking Bad. Yes, indeed we were. And, to be fair to them, they set up measures, and that's very unusual. They set up measures that they were going to watch to see if it worked. I'll just add, actually, Sean, that there were a couple of other things they were planning to do as well, equally kind of small, but there was a set of things they were doing to try to crack down on meth on the supply.
Okay, so
But
when
they
did
looked at
the PEP pills? When did the PEP pills come off the shelves?
2011. It took them 2 years to finally take it off. It's going to take this government a week to reverse it.
All right.
So 2011 and through to now, I calculate.
And hallelujah, did people stop breaking into chemist shops? Did we get rid of methamphetamine? What happened to methamphetamine use and production?
Yeah, very good point. So we know because they did monitor it. Deaths from the drug went up by 585%. Meth-related crime tripled. The price of meth fell, I think 40%.
What? The price of meth fell?
Yeah, the supply became so available that the price dropped. And purity increased because there was enough supply. They didn't need to mix it up. So we didn't stop meth. It didn't go away.
So it was a completely, when we analyse it, useless policy.
Well, yes, it was. Probably, but actually, and this is part of my point, it was actually worse than that. And this is the danger of policies that are rushed in under moral panics. The country suffered, I reckon, I calculated back in the envelope, about 100 million colds in the ensuing decade and a bit, and $100 million wasted on phenylephrine, which was the replacement ingredient. Because that drug was known, and has been proven just last year, to be less effective than placebo. So it's worse.
If you take phenylephrine, okay.
Yep.
So where are we at now with this? When are the, and God, I always think of the Nazis sending their people into Poland on speed. When are we getting the PEP pills for staying at work when you've got a cold back?
Well, you might say that, but most people out there know that it works, and that's one of the reasons I followed this, because they knew that it was a drug that worked, and it's one of those things that just grated with so many people, but you kind of follow what the experts say. Well, the policy should be reversed this week under urgency in Parliament. Once that is passed, I don't see any reason why it won't be back within weeks, available for sale.